Hey everybody, welcome to Foulkin Around. I am Jen Folk, and today I have Heather with me. And Heather is from Witchen Life Guide on Facebook, and I need you guys to go and like this page because first of all, Heather needs a little bit of a reason to be out there on her page more. And I know that you need that motivation. And I know if you're anything like me, I personally need to see that people are interested in order for me to keep up with the pages. So get over there. You can find Witch and Life Guide on Facebook. Definitely look for her. Welcome to the show, Heather. Thank you so
Thank
much for being on.
thank you. Thank you so much for asking me to be here. It's so good to talk to you after you sent a wonderful package with containing
Hmm.
all your amazing soaps and that just oh my God, so many good things. So it's just good to be able to talk to you other than just the Facebook type and all that
I
good
know,
stuff.
right?
Yeah,
It's nice to be face to face in sort of a way.
absolutely.
I mean, it sucks because we've got, there's like over 2,000 miles between us because you're on one side of the nation and I'm on the other side.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks that way. But I really was very excited to send that to you guys. And I put more in there on purpose. I wanted you guys to give them away. I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you guys to be able to spread the love and also have some for yourself.
Yeah, it was so
So,
sweet actually because I gave I live in a neighborhood with a lot of families and young kids, and there's a couple 11, 12-year-old girls that gave them as gifts to their mothers because not
oh,
otherwise, they don't, 11, 12-year-olds don't have money, and
yeah.
there's not always someone there to think about, oh, let me get the mom a gift or something. So they were
Yes.
so excited, and that was fun. It made Christmas really fun.
Good. Good. I'm so glad. And that's kind of the point. And that's kind of also you and I both being witches. It's kind of the point of our practice as
Yeah.
well. So I want to talk a little bit about Witch and Life Guide. What is it? What is it that you do? And just kind of give us a background on why you even started it in the first place.
Absolutely. Witch and Life Guide came to me because I feel like every one of us at some point we're like, I just need someone to guide my life. I need someone to tell me step by step what to
Yes,
do. And
girl.
I used to feel so frustrated because obviously no matter what anybody said, it wouldn't be right because it's not coming from me and it wasn't going to be my real journey. So, you start listening to people telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And you start living lives that you're not necessarily supposed to follow, and it causes chaos and
Yes.
everything. And what Witch and Life Guide basically, I want it to be a safe place for literally anybody. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what country you live in. I don't care where your family's been. I don't care what felonies you've had. I don't care what mistakes you've made. Um, in fact, those are kind of my people. The misfits are kind of my people because
Yeah.
I feel like there's just such good people out there and we're just fucking up because the world out there is just really hard.
It
So,
is. It
yeah.
really is, and it's really difficult. I believe that I'm here as a healer. I know a lot about herbology, and I know you do too, and I really feel like that's kinda why you were here too. I mean, is that safe to say?
Absolutely. I look back at my childhood and I don't remember a time where I didn't feel really offended by how people are treated. you know,
Right. Yes.
I don't really upset or worried, listening to how everybody was and how much anger there was in the world. And it always felt so uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and I never could do the schooling to be a nurse. I would love to, I mean,
Mhm.
back in 300 years ago, if it was really just teaching us in the field, we weren't paying thousands and thousands of dollars to go to school. I probably would
Yes.
do something, but,
Yes.
um, I there's something in me and there's something in all of us that feel we're here for the help. We're here to help. And obviously we're here really to help ourselves the most.
Yes.
We give that up a lot. We don't pay attention to that hardly ever because we're so focused on the hurt and making things comfortable for people or trying to help a situation no matter what it be. Um,
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
I agree. I really find that I think these last because I'm gonna be 48 in November. And I really think that these last few years have really been me working on my own shadow work. Finally.
Hasn't it been, like, crazy energy? Like,
Girl, these
crazy.
full moons and these eclipses, I'm about done with them because
Yeah, yeah.
if I have to sit here and realize some shit about myself anymore, I'm just gonna pass on the occasion.
I
I'm
know.
just I'm done. I mean, it's like it's refreshing because then you get over yourself and
Yeah. I mean,
you do work through
at
your
the end of the day or end of the
yes.
trauma,
Yeah.
it's a great thing, but
Yes.
there's times and I'm like, "Why do I feel so much weaker now than when I was a 20-year-old kid who
Yes.
didn't know, like, I guess
Anything.
we were naive. We were just naive,
Oh my
obviously."
god. And I really I was, back in my 20s, I didn't start looking into witchcraft or, spiritualists, spiritualism of some sort. I did not start looking into that until my 30s,
Yeah,
mid-30s, and, it was weird, it was like an awakening because I had struggled for so long with trying to fit in and understand what I was supposed to be doing and, like, why isn't because I grew up in a Christian home. Why aren't my prayers being answered? Why am I not getting this? Why am I not, getting any kind of direction on what I should be doing? Every time I have a problem, I go to my parent and they say, "Oh, pray about it, bitch. What do you think I've been doing?" It's just like the answers were just not there. But it was funny because I actually started looking into witchcraft to kind of it's a know thy enemy kind
yeah,
of a thing.
yeah,
And it was weird because it did nothing but convince me that I didn't need Christianity.
right.
And, my this isn't normally a religious podcast. It's flat out, this was my experience. It doesn't make it for everybody. Everybody's walk is different. Everybody's path is different. And
Yeah, I mean, people like some people like I grew up Roman Catholic. I have to heal from that. And
oh hell yeah.
it has nothing to do with the Roman Catholic religion itself. I'm not gonna
No.
it's because everybody's gonna have their own what they feel in their heart. But my
Right.
experience with it, I
Yes.
have to heal. Like
Yes.
I was taught
Exactly.
I was a very bad person
Yes.
and just all that stuff just because I was weird or I didn't fit in or
And that was the thing. We didn't fit in.
yeah.
And it didn't matter how many youth group things I went to. It didn't matter how many times I try to interject and go out on, little group events with people my own age. I did not fit
Yeah.
in. I
Yeah.
did not. Because in all reality, I was too real for them because most of them people at that moment, being teenagers, they were fake, and it is what it is because I don't think that nowadays, I don't think that kids are the same way as when we grew up.
Mm-mm.
They are absolutely not. They had different technologies and different things that they could do back then, but I think that, um, a lot of what they would portray was not the real them because, within 2 weeks or 2 months, I'd hear, "Hey, this dude from youth group got this chick pregnant
Mhm.
whose dad's a deacon or whatever, and now they're getting married." It's just it becomes a whole thing. So, I just didn't fit in. It seems to be a kind of a regular thing across the board. That's one of the regular variables that seems to stay solid is we don't fit in to natural and or to regular everyday life. I don't even I'm not even explaining it right, I don't think.
I totally yeah, I get it. And you kinda know you're connected from a young age because you
Yeah.
think that everybody experiences when you're young and you don't realize and you're kind of set in just your own peripheral. You don't realize
Yeah.
that other people have different views and things. So you're
Yes.
thinking that everybody smells things the same way.
Everybody feels this way.
Everybody feels the same way. Everybody
Yes.
when someone, flicks, it feels the same way for everybody.
Right.
So I
Everybody hears
remember.
voices in their pillow when they're trying to go to
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. I remember just the smells of the grass and how n just good and healing when you're a little kid and you just got your face right in the
Yeah,
grass and everything. Oh my
yeah.
god, and nature, anything outside, the smell before a storm comes in,
Oh, God.
one of my favorites.
And I didn't know this until recently, but I guess people in the UK don't experience that?
Really? Because
Yeah.
they get the storm, right? The
They
rainstorms,
get they
right?
get the rain,
But
but
you don't have that, because
they
I know
don't
there's
get
a
the
word for
smell.
it. There's a word
Yes.
for it, and I
Yes,
don't
there
remember it,
is
but
something philia, of course, but
yes,
it's like
they
it's
don't
being
get that.
they don't there are some people who cannot, and there's this one guy, Josh the Brit or something like that on
Yeah,
TikTok. I watch his videos a lot. He's actually I think he's in America right now traveling around, but,
smelling the rain.
he he's one of those where he's like, "Oh, you can't tell me Americans can smell the rain," and the one time he smelled it before it started coming, he's like, I get it now, I
Yeah,
get it." He says, "In UK, you don't have that."
that's
So, that's
crazy.
crazy.
So
I'd
so
be
what don't
at a
we have?
loss.
What don't we have? I want it all. What
Exactly.
give us more smells.
I'm glad he got to experience that,
Yeah,
but,
that's really cool.
yeah, just knowing certain things, feeling certain things, and you do think that everybody else, "Hey, did you feel that chill?" "No, it's 90 degrees outside." "My bad." You know, it's like, "Sorry, felt a chill. I don't know what to tell you." But
Right.
yeah, I was always the weird kid.
Yep. Yeah, see shadows or whatever
Yep.
and stuff like that. And what was I gonna say? About the chills and when you're a kid. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, that's okay. It's that
It'll come
it's
back to
that
me.
woman thing, that
Yeah.
mom brain.
Yeah, I just like, my brain went boop somewhere else,
Yep.
like 2 seconds.
Yes, immediately.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, my ADH brain takes me everywhere, and I'm sure you'll with the second that you remember it, just say, "Oh, I remember," and
Yeah.
we can cut into it. But but it's like, you definitely, I think that is across the board for anyone who is a healer. You just don't feel like you belong, and it's not that you don't, you're in the place where you should be, um, for what your purpose is. But it might be that you're not, I mean, you're in the right time frame for your purpose, but you might be in the wrong place.
Right.
So, you had said stuff about, your journey and your path and us wanting to do please other people. And I had done that for so long when I finally decided to change it up.
Yeah.
When was it for you that you decided I'm not I'm not Roman Catholic anymore?
Well, I did all the little steps I had to do growing up. I did my first penance, I did my first communion. So I did CCD catechism all the way up to
Mhm.
the 8th grade, but I think like 6th grade, 10 years old, it started feeling more punishable, more like it was being like it's a I don't know, it just felt dark to me, honestly. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds bad. I really do, but it didn't fill me with like the love how I felt. And like I said, it could have been the way I was taught. I don't want this anybody to think that that's the experience of that religion. It was just
Right. I've
I didn't
often
like
wondered, why can't I have that feeling that they're feeling?
right.
And
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. It just
I
wasn't
think
happening.
I think honestly, it was the kind of the brutality of what happened with Jesus, and I
Mhm.
understand it, but I think it hurts my heart too much. I can't. I don't know. It was a hard thing for me to. It's still a hard thing for me to like really figure
Grasp.
out.
Yeah.
It really is.
And, I would love to hear, especially if you do have some Christians, whether they're Catholic or non-denominational or Episcopalian, I'd love to hear that they had signed up on your Facebook page and that we could actually have a discussion because let's talk about this,
I mean, we're all here
Mhm.
right now. So our journey and our experiences together are very important for us to know about. Like, talk to me. I want a better experience.
Yes.
I want to heal what I went through because you know what? That faith feels so good.
Mhm.
And knowing that there's a savior, you know,
Mhm.
it's a great feeling, you know?
Yeah.
That's a really good feeling, and, like, when people think of the word witch, and I didn't even really kinda identify myself as one until probably my early 40s,
Mhm.
only because it's kind of frowned upon when it comes to religion too, you know
Anything.
what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, but, you know, all it is okay, well, for instance, everybody believes in these Wi-Fi energies that's sending all our stuff everywhere. That's real, right? We're using it
Right.
right now.
Right.
Why is energy with witches not a real thing, you know?
Exactly. Yes. I
And it's
mean,
not
and
even tie-in with witches, it's with all everybody has it because we
yes.
are energy. It's just who
Well,
feels
ho
it and wants to,
exactly, and
you know.
how I explained it to my mom when she was asking me, I said, "Mom, you call it praying, we call it meditating.
Same thing.
You guys call your little, breaking of the bread, your, what is it called? Communion.
Mm,
You call communion, breaking of the bread, you call it that. We call it a ritual, a Sabbath or a Sabbat.
mhm,
We have the same stuff. We are all praying to an all father. We're all praying to, some being that we see as, someone who is over us, or I
right.
don't want to say overlord because that sounds a little 1984, but
Yeah,
you get it. And my thing is that, I told her, I said, if we were really made by God, don't you think, and we were made in God's image,
mhm,
do you not think he would not have bestowed upon us some of his abilities?
right.
Which I don't, and that's what I try to explain to her, and she kind of understood it a little bit better. But my question is, why is it that discernment in a church with someone who goes to church on the regular is considered okay, but psychic mediums aren't really a thing? You dismiss
Yeah,
those same people who came with the gift of discernment because
right.
we're all given gifts. It doesn't
Mhm,
mean we all have the same exact gifts, but we're all given gifts. And I find it that's where I have the issue because a lot of people who go to church in the Catholic and non-denominational Episcopalian, a lot of them, they don't see their hypocrisy.
right.
And that was the big thing for me. I had a problem with it because of the simple fact that why is it one thing for you? It's praise Jesus because I have the gift of discernment, but this girl cannot possibly be a psychic medium because
Right.
she doesn't go to church.
Mhm.
So that was my issue.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all about people are they need we like, we're, you know, with evolution of people and, you know, we're getting comfortable, and they want that comfortability. So,
Yes.
you know what's going on around, like, where people are like they don't want changes, they don't wanna allow people to do this, you know, they're
Mhm.
still like, our rights are still being questioned, you know, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm not a political and or super I just 'cause it's too much. That's a whole thing that I
Mhm.
don't like to get myself involved in, um, but I feel like we're trying to fight being out of our comfort zone. So for your mom to kind of open just for her for an instance, but for
Yeah.
everybody, we're kind of, you know, it's been this way forever, or this is, you know, or why it's hard. Why can't you have another belief?
And
It
but,
doesn't
I mean,
feel
it didn't change anything, but even to
no,
be able to have the conversation though, that was good.
that
That
is
was
good.
good.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would be that open, because it was nice to be able to put out there exactly what I was feeling and what I was trying to explain to her, what my beliefs were, and instead of her just saying, no, that's not true. That's not true." She listened, and she at least did that. So I give her credit for at least for
Yeah.
doing that. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool because
that's
some
not
people,
it's not easy.
some, and some people do not get that opportunity.
Right.
So I'm grateful. But so where do you see Witchin Life Guide going?
What I would love to really, really do, mental health is very, very it's, because I feel like we have our physical health, we have our physical health,
Mhm,
and we have our mental health, and our mental health is now really being tested, and I've seen and I've lost a couple people that, this that everything got too much for them.
mhm.
I hurt like there's homeless out there. I hurt that there's hungry out there. Um, you know what I would love to do? My biggest thing I would love to do. It's the biggest dream ever, but I would love to have a building where there's somebody, I have rooms and I have stuff where people can literally just get their lives on track, and I know
Mhm.
everybody's like, okay, let's try, it's been done, it's been done, it's been done. I don't care if it's been done. I don't care if it's one of the impossible things to do, but everybody needs a chance. Everybody needs a chance.
Yep.
And there's not enough resources out there. There's
No.
not,
Well,
and
there is. There's I
that's
mean,
actually valid. We have
there's
everything we need.
there is.
It's
Yes,
not being
exactly.
distributed. It's
There
not
is. We're not using it properly.
right. Yeah.
I mean, why are we paying taxes on our land and taxes when we buy the land and taxes when we get paid and
Yeah.
taxes when we go buy something at the store?
Yeah. On your
It
gas, on your
on your
groceries,
gas,
on
on
your
your house. It
anything, on
yeah,
your bills.
yeah, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. How is it that somebody can tell me, "Oh, you can live here, but it's not for free."
Right.
Because in the end, while you think you bought it, you still have to pay land use taxes. But
Mhm.
I have this land. This is my land. I wish I was able. I know people say this, especially now. I wish I was able to have been around in that era where um bartering was the thing.
Mm,
Um, which I mean, when you have your own business, you can do that. You can barter with
yeah.
people, which is great. I love it. And because I do that with my tattoo artist.
Yeah,
I
it's
make
amazing.
Ye
Everybody's happy, and, it
yes,
feels good. I love bartering. I love it.
because it feels like you're getting equal value.
Yeah.
And so I made a bunch of balms for her shop, for her tattoo shop. And so she'll be doing a tattoo on me because
Yeah.
I made her these balms. So it's it works out just so wonderfully
Yeah,
because we both
that's
and
good.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't care when the appointment is, it's fine. Just let's set it up. It was very amicable, and I think there's a lot less people feeling cheated that way. But of course, I wasn't alive in the bartering days for a reason. So or I don't remember, because
Right.
I don't know how you feel about reincarnation, but I'm pretty sure
Um,
this is not my first run around.
yeah, we're definitely this is how I mean, I had to have lived a million lives. I feel like I don't remember, at least consciously
Mhm.
remember. I'm sure I'm getting, within dreams and stuff like that, or
Right.
flashbacks, or, um, deja vu. I'm sure there's some stuff going on, but I've never have had like a past lives reading
Me
because,
neither.
like, I don't know. I want to just know the person really. I don't know. Like, it's not like I don't trust that stuff because I've had really good readings with people. Um,
Yes.
but I just sometimes, they're doing the best they can, and I don't know, it's
Mhm.
just so I just haven't yet, but I would love to because I think maybe it would make sense to me. So maybe
Right.
someday I will do that. Have you ever had one done on yourself or any thoughts?
I have had one done, and according to her, I'm not a very old soul, but
Really?
according to the way I feel,
Yeah.
I am definitely been around because, like, stuff pops up, things happen, and I'm just sitting here like, well, let's get it handled and just go head on. I
Yeah.
don't sit there and freak out, which I really think a lot of people who have high anxiety, that sometimes it's that newness to things
Mm,
that they don't realize because they've never had that issue in a previous life. I just think that that's why, high anxiety is a problem for them. They're like new.
yeah.
Um and I feel that way about my husband. I told my husband one day, and, because him and I were talking about reincarnation, and I was like, "Yeah, I feel like an old soul." He goes, "Well, what do you think I am?" I said, "You're young." And he goes,
You're
"Damn, that was quick." I said, "Well," I said, "you're young because you ask a million questions." I said, "And you have high anxiety. You
yeah.
are so unsure about everything." I said, "And I am positive that you have only spent like 2 or 3 life cycles, you know, more than what." I'm like, "You maybe have gone through, I don't know, 10 life cycles." I think he's more new than he's about no younger than 10, but not many more than 20.
Yeah.
I just don't, I think he just hasn't had enough revolutions
Yeah.
to,
There's some more
calm down.
lessons to learn, more lessons
Mhm.
to
Yeah, and if you ask him, karma has it out for him, and he has a Jibbo curse on him, and he really feels, because he's Romany. He's like, "Nope, we have a curse on the family, and I don't know how to get rid of it. It's gotta be it's gotta be this person," and I'm just like, "Okay, we'll agree to disagree." But he's he, that's why I think that he's a young soul, because
Yeah.
of those reasons.
Oh my god, that's kinda funny, that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
I love
I'm
that he entertains my quirkiness, and he's just like, "Yeah, okay, weirdo."
nice. One of my favorite, time errors, honestly, and what I love, I love the way they lived was the hunting and gathering era,
Mhm.
where they just lived in caves, in little communities, and but each family had their own little,
Yeah.
boundaries, stuff like that, but they was everybody was cherished from infancy
Yes.
to, they didn't just because they couldn't hunt anymore, you know,
Mhm.
they weren't just discarded, then they were used to teach the young to hunt, because
Yeah.
they can't go out on hunts, they would, so I just like that, like, way of life,
Yeah.
and, um, I don't know if I, like, come back from, like, that far past, but it's, like, one of my favorite time frames, like, if I lived a life during that era, it probably wouldn't surprise me, but
Yeah.
that's really a long time ago.
I really long for the homestead.
Oh, yeah.
I long for just being off grid, having 40 acres somewhere, making my own farm, having my own farm animals, and then, uh, that to me would just be absolute peace. I
Well,
would love that.
think of how not far in our DNA that is,
Mhm.
like, think of the USA right now, or just the world or whatever, with
Mhm.
all the shops and all the markets and all the accessibility, that wasn't around so much, like, just it just wasn't around, and, like, that we're still have our DNA still comes, from, like, 3 generations
Yeah.
pulled away, you know what I mean? So it's still in our DNA, and it's still very much in our system that we
Mhm.
yearn for, and I would love to go back to that. I would love to
Yeah.
just experience that.
I just think that we've gotten too far away from that,
Mhm.
because that's kinda what made us feel fulfilled, is the
Yeah.
fact that, "Okay, I'm going out to the field, raising these crops so that I can feed my family." And,
Mhm.
I have a family, and we're sticking together, and we're too busy making sure that the land and the animals and the kids are all
Yeah.
alive and coyotes haven't taken anything, and
Yeah.
that, we're too busy. We're not arguing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that to me is, and I guess I don't know. My longing for the homestead thing started a few years ago when I started writing apocalyptic books, and
Oh.
and that I guess it was I mean, I've always had a thing for apocalypse movies, which I really enjoy, like the world coming to an end, and, it sounds so dire, but
I get
it's morbid, morbid. But,
I get it.
I like it on the TV screen. We'll put it
Right,
that way.
right.
But, the one thing I don't look forward to if that ever does happen is the lack of, plumbing. I can't.
Yeah.
I ain't that big of a nature girl, but I I loved I like The Walking Dead and all that stuff, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it flipped a switch in me. Oh my god, I gotta I have this lighter is a plasma lighter. I have to charge it in order for it to work. I
Yeah,
have I have a jump bag. It's ready to go. I have matches
yeah.
that
That's
they're waterproof. I'm so excited. Can't wait to try them. But
those are
yeah, I've become a psychopath. So, it's but I really enjoy, the roughing it
yeah.
because it makes you feel fulfilled, in my
It does.
opinion.
It's like, especially sleeping outside overnight, when you wake up, I can't be the only one that feels like complete like, I had like I don't know what when they go to get those IV vitamin infusions and you feel great. It feels
Mhm.
like that. It feels like you breathe in the night air and you're
Yeah.
just out in nature in a tent. Um,
Yeah, without the
or
mosquitoes.
yeah, like absolutely. It's just you feel healthier, you feel better, you feel good. It's
You
nice.
do. Just
Yeah,
being outside, period. And
yeah,
I think, I was doing research for another podcast that I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be working on a herbology podcast where I talk about the AMA, the FDA, and um, herbs, how to use
right.
them, where
Yeah,
you can find them, stuff like that. What they help with. They're not necessarily cures, but they're remedies.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I was doing some research on all that, and it was funny because the the people that were considered the fathers of the holistic approach, they were like, "Take some vitamin C,
Hmm.
take your ass outside." It was pretty much it, it was like, "Here's some herbs, go outside." And these other doctors are like, "No, no, no, you gotta give them this pill and this pill and this pill, that pharmaceuticals, this, that, and the other."
Yeah,
And just the whole being able to see how people who were taking pharmaceuticals got sicker and people who were going outside and taking herbs were getting healthy quicker. So, and I was just like, I really need to buckled down. I mean, because I've been doing the herb thing. I've been creating my own caplets. I make my own caplets and I do all this stuff. But herbs have a massively important place in our lives, and
yeah,
we've gotten so far away from that.
completely. And only like what modern medicine under two
1800s.
yeah, under 200 years, right? I can't remember the date. It's
It
like
was like 1880s, I believe. I
so think
might be
about
quoting.
that.
What's that?
Think about that. Like,
Yeah, it was
oh,
just 1900 when
yeah,
the AMA said, "We have to have a school."
yeah. And everybody was just like, and I get it. People are like, oh, but think of how many people were sick before. Well, we're very sick now. You
Well,
know.
yeah. I mean, and it's a conglomeration of a lot of different things. You've
Hmm.
got shitty food. We're not
Horrible.
raising our own food. The food that the farmers are raising gets destroyed if there's too much, which is
Hmm.
the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Why wouldn't you shove that over your access, shove
Yeah.
it over to the homeless places, the
Right.
the shelters, and people who can't or won't, because some people just will not. Um, we had a woman back in Ohio in my hometown who she wanted to be on the streets. She had money.
Yeah.
She chose to be a can like a she grabbed cans constantly
Yeah.
and she lived on the street. That was her choice. She never broke any rules, never did anything wrong to nobody. She left everybody alone. She wanted to be outside on the street. She when she was I think I know she passed away a long time ago, but I don't remember. She had a plan for winter, but
Yeah.
it because winter in Ohio gets really, really bad. But for the most part, she wanted to be outside.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's stop all the processed
Like,
food stuff.
there's a fear we all have now that money has created, and
Yes.
we need to evolve and grow out of that fear. We need to have money not control us and control our health. And you know what? I think that's one of the reasons all us healers are here now. Because
And we're
no,
all broke bitches.
yeah, we know just because things aren't where they need to be doesn't mean we can't spend what time we have here helping it get there
Mhm.
as a collective and leaving, like, leaving it, because that's really what's important, is what you leave here, not kind of what car you bought or
Right.
what house you
What are
live
you
in.
leaving behind?
Yeah, what are you really leaving? And yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think with Witch in Life Guide, I think that would be like such an awesome place to start.
Yeah.
Because you are that's already what you want. You want to get people together
Yep.
regardless of religious beliefs. Get
Yep.
them together, make it a safe place and a healthy place where we can actually have a discussion and figure out how we can fix this.
A safe place is so important to me. And
Mhm,
I know people don't have that at home sometimes. Some people don't have a home. Some people's house isn't a safe place for them. Um, I don't know. I just want people to come if they're struggling, just, I don't know, find something. Let's get some help, find out what's going on, because
mhm,
what's going on in the mind that makes it feel like this is it,
mhm.
needs that little bit of help and guidance and stuff like that. And
A relief valve.
yeah, so
I like it. I think that's very important, and I think that we don't have enough places that are come as you are.
yeah,
So I think that because I am sad to say I catch myself doing it where, people will we have tons of homeless out here in Tucson, tons. Um, and it's a Tucson has a hands-off policy. They're not supposed to, but they do,
yeah,
where they pretty much allow panhandlers to do their stuff. Pima County as a whole, the officers wherever or the deputies wherever they patrol, they don't allow panhandling.
yeah,
They shoo everybody. And I was on a ride along where we had actually gone down because they were living in a wash. And part of the problem why they got kicked out was because the people were complaining that they were loud and obnoxious in the middle of the night, fighting each other,
hmm,
fighting their spouses or their significant others. So there's a behavior element that's there, but you know, where where are they going to go?
yeah,
You're kicking them out. It's like telling people you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
right. This is the biggest thing I've always think is these people, the ones that are fighting, the ones that are having the homeless issues, the stability issues,
Mhm.
they're not healthy people. They're not going to do healthy things. So
Yes.
if we do help them to do healthy things, it's I mean, can we solve, like, we
Oh, there's
have
plenty of
resources,
empty
we have
buildings.
space. It's just we don't have the empathy, because even the broke people are empathic, and we don't have the freaking fun. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I get it. There's people clearly that do have money and they can only go so far. You just can't drain
Yeah.
all their
Not
resources.
suggesting that at
We
all.
respect that. And I don't know. I just it's a frustrating thing, I guess.
It is. And I think right along with that, because I think your love is for people and healing people. Um, my love is actually if I had won the lottery and had
Mhm.
40 acres, let's pretend, I would put up an animal shelter
Mm,
because I'm very much drawn to the animal aspect and
yeah,
the hurt animals and just letting them be who they are, in a space instead of having to perform for people.
right.
Oh,
And it
whether it's perform to be a good dog or perform to be no, let them run outside. Let them
yeah,
bark at the wind. Let them do whatever. I'm very I would love to clear out a couple of shelters and just bring them to my house. I
I
would
know.
love it. That would
Oh, there's
be
so many. You know, there's so
so
like,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
But again, broke bitch number 1. So, guess I better start
You know
playing the
what?
lottery.
I'm like I'm such a believer in manifestation and, not the witch magic, but literally if you manifest stuff and you
Mhm,
put it in writing, because putting it
mhm,
from your brain to physical on a piece of paper is so powerful. It's
mhm.
so powerful because it becomes reality at that point,
Hmm,
I mean, it's right there on paper, it becomes reality, and you just kind of keep bringing that energy in and keep bringing that belief in and accepting that you're not going to get it overnight. You're going to get it when the time comes, when the right time comes for you. You get it
yeah,
too soon, you might screw it up. Maybe that's not why you're getting it right now. There's still some
right.
things we have to do. So one of the hardest things I've had to do in life is accepting where I am in life, and
Mhm.
accepting self-love, which is another thing like which in Life Guide is all about, because if you begin to love yourself, no matter what other people think of you, you're going to start feeling happier, you're going to start feeling better, and then you're going to start doing happy and better things. And then
I like
the happy and better things come to you. It's like a little,
Yeah,
you know,
I like that a lot.
yeah.
That is really awesome. Are you looking at just kind of being a type of a support group, or are you actually looking at whether it's having a store or becoming a 501(c)(3)? What is it that I mean, is there something besides just pulling people together and creating a safe space, or is that all you care for it
Yeah.
to be?
Right now, it's just a safe space, creating that safe space and helping people just find what they need.
Mhm.
Helping people find what they need, or maybe they're scared to say something that they're feeling, or they're having trouble with anything. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's really trying to bring us down. So
Judgment-free zone.
judgment free zone. You know, just don't be an asshole. That's it.
Yeah.
Just be respectful, and that's it. Because I don't. Other than that,
Mhm.
yeah,
Were you ever in the broom closet?
that's a great question. I like how you. That's
That was
awesome.
the name of my store in Ohio. I had a metaphysical shop named Broom Closet.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
That's a great
But
store name too.
yes, it is. It was definitely people loved it, but were you ever in the broom closet?
Well, I never called myself like a witch or anything like that until because the friends I chose to hung out with,
Mhm.
they were very judgmental. I thought they were nice. I thought they were supportive, but it was just a very toxic friendship type of thing that lasted many,
Yeah.
many years. But and then even growing up having family saying, "You're so weird. Why are you so weird? Why are you so weird?" You kinda learn to keep yourself quiet until you're just around certain people that make you feel like you can take that
You can be
mask off.
you.
Yeah, you can
Yep.
take the mask off and be who you are. So, um, I was definitely in the broom closet, you know, for sure.
Yeah. I think most people do start out that way.
Mhm.
I remember I wasn't I lived in a different city than my parents, and I wasn't necessarily in the broom closet, but I
Mhm.
wasn't really out in the open.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't post stuff or anything like that. But, I remember my daughter had said something. She was, I think, 16 at the time, and she had decided to step away from Christianity as well.
Mhm.
And she had been, I think her and myself were practicing for about a year, maybe. And, she my mother had said something to her in a text message or something, and my daughter goes, "Well, it doesn't matter because I'm not Christian anymore." And my mother was like, "What do you mean?" And she is like, "I'm a witch. I believe, I don't believe in Jesus anymore, blah, 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 blah." And my mother did not talk to me for a year.
I can imagine.
And she told, like, she had told my mother too, "Me and mom have been studying witchcraft, and that is where we're sticking with."
Mhm.
And my mother was like, she texted me, "You've been studying witchcraft?" And I just flat out said, "Yes." I did not offer an explanation. I did not justify my decision. I'm in my mid-30s, bitch. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, that I didn't talk to her for like a year because she was mad.
I think it's hard for people. It's also too like you can be a witch and you can study witchcraft and you can still have a belief in anything else you really want to have,
Yep.
honestly. I like the amount of I get we have a certain like okay, these are the religions of the world,
Mhm.
but we're also being born different people. We're being born
Yeah.
with different experiences. You know how you have your ancestors, they talk about you had to have this, this many people to make you who you are today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all evolving. So I don't think literally any one of these religions is 100% correct, right? I think
Not
it's
at all.
all a mishmash of cultural, societal, political.
It may have been at one point a long ass time ago, it may have been one thing, but I
Mhm.
think because just like Christianity, you know how many different I want it legs off of the Christianity tree or
Yeah,
branches off the Christianity tree. You know how many there are? Tons.
yeah,
Lutheran, Catholic, Protestant, Anglo-Saxon. I don't even know if they're even a thing anymore. I know that they were back in England, but it was a different, but they were still, followed Christ. Non-denominational. There's so many, and it was all Lutheran, Catholic. It was all because somebody did not like something that was going on in that religion, and they broke off a branch,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they made a sect. So, who's to say?
yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the Bible that they're even studying today is not the same that was written.
No, it's been
However,
rewritten millions and millions of times.
books have been removed,
Yeah.
things have been rewritten. Aramaic is a dead language, and that was the original language it was written in.
Yep.
So,
Right.
it,
So, and I think that's why we're learning to feel and know like we know what's right or wrong.
mhm,
I
yeah,
I I believe I mean there's probably some people that don't, but those are people that need some help and stuff. But you know what's right and wrong.
yeah,
So that's Christians know, all religions know what's right or wrong. Hurting people is
yes,
wrong, being good to
anybody,
people is right. It's really what is it really? It's almost like a human thing. It's a
yes,
you know? It's not it
yeah,
doesn't have to be a religious
it's
thing.
inherent.
Yeah.
It is just a human, like you said, it is
Part
a
of our
human
species.
being thing. Yes.
Mhm.
We have a right and wrong. We have a moral compass.
Mhm.
It may differ from other people, but for the most part, this is bad. We know that for sure. This is
Mhm.
good. We know that
Yep.
for sure. And your gut is what usually will tell you. But um I think that a lot of people really wish or think that they do have the right thing, the right idea,
Yeah.
and they're going with what they know, and that's something that I wish a lot of people who were studying witchcraft would also understand, because I've noticed a lot of them hate Christianity.
Yeah, they probably had a
Hate it.
pretty bad experience,
You can
like
have a bad experience and understand that it's the people, not necessarily the religion. It's the people. But um the I guess the not wanting to be around it is kind of the whole thing that I chose to. But I don't hate them.
right.
You know what I mean? I don't hate them. There's nothing in our path that calls us to hate Christians, period,
That's right.
just
I mean, we're
because they're
not
Christian.
we're supposed to love. You know,
Yes.
Jesus taught us that, but the universe taught us that. You plant your seed, you water, and I understand, like, and think about it, in the animal species, they all hunt, it's all survival. And like
Mhm.
our what are humans doing for survival now? It's about the money.
Mhm.
That's survival.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
what's
how
helping us
well
survive.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's how much money you can make. And that's just it's not universally good.
Mm-mm.
And that's why we have all this chaos right now, because it's just it's gonna it has to get a little rough, and then it's gonna get, we're coming upon the age of love. I do believe that, and we're
Mhm.
making progress, and we're teaching people to be more. Even in the protests of the angry people, we're still putting out there that gay people are full of love, and it doesn't
Yes.
matter. It just doesn't matter. Nothing matters. None of that matters. Are
It
you a good
really doesn't in
person?
the
Are
grand
you a
scheme
good
of things.
person? I understand it's
Mhm.
uncomfortable for you, and I'm sorry, but it doesn't mean they can't do it. You know,
Right.
um, it's
It's just it goes back to stay in your own lane.
yeah, yeah,
Mind your
yeah.
business.
But we've always been adaptive, and we're always going to adapt, and that's what's made us like the strong species that we are. We're gonna adapt right through this, like we always do.
Yeah.
So all this hatred's coming out because that's
It
how you're
has
gonna
to.
get the love. I
It's always
mean,
darkest before the dawn.
absolutely, and that's the biggest thing. I think people are just feeling like it's all dark, and that I feel that way sometimes. We all feel that way
Yeah.
sometimes. That's why we all need to be together, because we all need to tell each other that it's a bad day, or I
It'll
understand.
be okay.
It'll be okay,
It'll
and
be
you're
okay.
awesome. You need to hear it. You're awesome. You got
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
So
And I think that, there's not enough of that. Well, I think there's more now than there was.
yeah,
Because I think people are starting to recognize, "Oh, that person may be having a bad day." I think it's more known now
mhm,
where with all of the different, types of mental health issues and everything like that, people are recognizing you never know what somebody's going through a
right.
lot more often, I believe, in this day and age, where I don't think it was a big deal when we were growing up. Nobody gave a shit
We are
that
going
you're
super fast right now.
yes. Yeah.
Like, you know how I get it, every like, even our parents, like, we're just we're on either electronics now, we're
Mhm.
going somewhere. We do, like, is time to relax, but it's, like, different. It's
Yeah.
different than, I was born in '76, so from that time to about 2000.
77.
Yeah, so that time from 2010. From 2010 on, it's
Look,
just
let's
it's
just talk about the Commodore 64,
yeah.
okay? First computer, I swear to God,
I love
that
it.
thing yeah, just look, now we have computers in our hands.
Yeah.
Who would have fucking
Always got
thought?
something to do. There's always, always
And
a
there is.
yeah, a doctor's texting me, I'm getting a call from the school, I'm getting
Mhm.
it's nonstop, and, like, oh, God forbid you don't pay a bill on time, you got that
Oh,
calling you.
yeah. Yes, and they're insistent.
And they'll email you, they'll
Yeah.
call you, they'll text
And
you.
they'll text you, and they're calling and texting your mama.
Yeah. It's like and your ex-boyfriend,
And your exes.
yeah, just to see
Yeah.
what's going on.
"We had this number as the last place."
Yeah,
No, you didn't.
yeah.
No,
Oh
you
my
didn't.
god. I'm like, life, man. Oh my god. Yeah.
Well, I what is it if you could give This will be our closer. So, if you could give a little bit of advice to the younger generation, women especially, not that this is, I don't know how, but the last couple of podcasts have been with women, and we've just talked about women's issues because it is a real thing. But um, women especially, what would be your words of wisdom to the younger generations?
So I think it's so important, especially for the younger girls who haven't quite experienced, that, because when you're up to 18, for instance, like life
Mhm.
just, you're like, oh, whatever, I'm 18. And then the 20s, and I haven't reached my 50s yet. But I'm close. But you learn and you grow so much.
Mhm.
I just want people to know that they're not in the space that they're in right that one day. If they're having a
That's not
hard
your forever.
not your forever. If you're having a hard time with your classes at that moment, or with your boyfriend at the moment, or with your looks at the moment, or your grandma passing, and anything that's hurting you, it's not going to be your forever. And you will make it through. Because there's been so many times it felt literally like the end. And
Yeah.
you know I'm grateful for that lesson, because I'm kind of used to chaos and crisis. So, like,
Yes.
literally, I thrive
Yes.
in it now.
Yeah, I think that might be a little traumatic, but,
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
It's
I'm
like,
like,
it
what?
doesn't scare me as much anymore.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's crazy. It's uncomfortable if things are like, wait, I don't need to do. Wait a minute,
Mm,
something. What the
yeah.
fuck did I forget?
Yeah.
What did I not do? And then I'm checking my email, my phones, my texts, my voicemails,
Yes.
everything. But yeah, so I would just, and always, it's, I don't want, we never feel like we're enough. We never feel
Never.
like, we feel like it's we need to stop that. We need to stop feeling like we're not enough, because
Mhm.
we're literally doing everything we can that day. And if you're really that upset that you didn't take care of something, take a deep breath and realize you can get up and do it tomorrow, you
My
know?
favorite is in 5 years, who's gonna care?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And
Nobody's
that's
gonna
what
care in 5
the young
years.
girls don't get that yet, because they still are affected by so much. But when they
Mhm.
start getting out there, and, you know, like, there's relationships that I thought I was gonna, like, oh my
Dying.
god,
Yeah,
now I'm like, I don't even remember ever feeling like,
I don't
"What?"
remember their name.
Yeah, I don't even remember, like, oh my god, how
But I'm a
dramatic.
Scorpio,
Yeah,
so once I'm done with you, I'm done.
how dramatic it was, so yeah, just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, and understand there's a learning curve. Show
Yeah.
yourself some grace. I like that. I like that a lot, and, I would, for me, I would just like to add, if there is any young girls that are watching this, if you guys want to chat about anything, you can always message one of us. We'd be more
Absolutely.
than happy to, especially if you are on the Witch and Life Guide. Definitely check it out, but also just wanna throw it out there. If you're ever going through something, don't make rash decisions. There's 888 numbers that you can call. What is that one? 988?
988.
988 is a suicide hotline.
You can even text if calling's a little uncomfortable, because
Mhm.
it is for people. Don't judge your feelings.
Yeah.
Don't judge your feelings. Let's just,
Don't make
feel.
assumptions on what somebody else is gonna think.
Yeah.
So, of what your issues are, because not everybody handles things the same. Something that might be big to you
Mhm.
or not big to you might be big to someone else. So just don't be too harsh on yourselves. If you need the help, reach out to someone. And
Absolutely.
definitely. I want to thank you so much for coming on our show. It is such a wonderful thing to have you on. You are just a ray of sunshine. I
Oh,
can't
thank you.
even.
You're so kind.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. I want to thank everybody else for watching. Definitely check out Witchin, Life Guide. Sorry, I keep wanting to call it Witchin Kitchen just because it
Yeah.
rhymes. There's never been a Witchin Kitchen. It's
You
always
know,
been Witchin
I
Life.
had, I used to be like, I got caught up in the pampered chef craze. I was a pampered chef consultant a
Ah,
long time ago 'cause
yes!
I love food.
MLM marketing. We gotta love
Yeah.
it.
So, I called it Witchin' in the Kitchen.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
so that was fun, but yeah,
Yeah, I got caught up
nostalgic.
with Mary Kate and Avon.
Yeah.
I
Avon
did
was
well
like yeah,
I
Avon
did
me
well
too.
at yeah, I did well at Avon, but I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't this is insane." But hey, we thank you for
Thank
being here. Thanks for everybody watching. Check us out next time. We'll see you again later.
thank you.